Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Geezers. I'm Wild Billy, your host, and sitting right next to me here is Pete Pardo.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us. We got another inside the cover of a great Marvel magazine. We did a Savage Sword of Conan just last week or week or so ago, and you guys dug it, so I got another one to show you. So this is number 26, Savage Sword of Conan the Barbarian. All new Death Beyond the Black River. Extra and new Solomon Kane versus Dracula. I remember when I got this, I'm like, Solomon Kane versus Dracula? Wow, that sounds kind of interesting. So here, this is... Yeah, well, it actually isn't, so which is kind of interesting. So this is from 1977. This is a Jim Starlin cover.
Nice.
Can you kind of tell it doesn't really scream Jim Starlin? It kind of does. You know what? I think if you look at Conan, that kind of looks like Jim Starlin. But it did. At first I was like, oh, who is that? And then I was like, oh, okay. And then we got the frontispiece is done by David Wenzel. This is pretty
That looks really cool.
Yeah, it's really well done. I mean, one complaint I have about it is that there's not a lot of detail to like the terrain or the background, but man, the Conan and the rest of the goons that he's fighting against are really, really well done. Really well done. So here we've got, this one is pretty basic. Some of these Savage Sword of Conans have all sorts of stories. This has just got the one Beyond the Black River, and which is based on the front. And then you have the Retribution and Blood, which is the Solomon Kane going against Dracula. And then there's another one called The Other Queen of the Black Coast. Okay, and that does not feature Conan. So here we go. Roy Thomas, editor. Archie Goodwin, Roger Sliffer, consulting editors. Lenny Groh, production manager. John Romita Jr., Maurice Severin, art consultants. Staff and such: Ralph Macchio, Fred Blosser, Tom Orachowski, Jim Novak, Denise Wall, Davida Lichter-Dale, Howard Bender, Glenn Lord, technical advisor. Jim Starlin covered. David Wenzel, frontispiece, and Robert E. Howard for inspiration. As always with these, you get the little map of the Hyborian age of Conan, all right, circa 10,000 BC. And here's Beyond the Black River, drawn by Art Buscema and Tony DeZuniga. Okay, so we've seen that team work on the color comic before. Roy Thomas wrote the script. So here we got Conan there, got this giant serpent, so the crazy tribal witch doctor type of guy here. And so the story starts out with this young guy. His name, what was his name? I forget his name. A young wayfarer. What is his name? He'll say it out shortly. His name is Balthus. So he's kind of rummaging around in the woods. He comes across Conan. Conan, of course, got the weird little helmet thing, which kind of looks like it barely fits on his head. So they come across each other, and Conan's like, what are you doing out here by yourself? He's like, well, I'm just, out here looking for this. He's like, well, let's travel together. So they decide to travel together. Conan tells him how he came across the Picts, and he was battling them, and tells him who he is. I'm Conan, and he's like, oh, I've heard of you before, and whatnot. So as they travel on together, trying to get to know each other, they start to hear some sounds coming off in the woods. So, of course, Conan rushes off to find out what's going on, and he finds this guy dead. And, of course, he actually knows who the guy is. So, of course, Conan knows everybody. Conan's like the fucking mayor, right? He knows everybody. So they find him. He's got his throat is slit. And so Conan explains, he goes, it's been splashed from ear to ear as if by a razor-sharp blade. Okay? And then he goes, his name was Tiberius, a wealthy merchant of Velitrium, and he's the fifth to die at the hands of the Forest Devil. And the young kid's like, the Forest Devil? What's the Forest Devil?
It's a myth.
So he has been searching for this Forest Devil, and apparently, and they show the footprint. Okay. What looks like a footprint. Yeah, clues. But apparently what he says is, what's interesting is that all the other people who have been killed by this Forest Devil, they've been decapitated.
This time he missed.
This time he missed. Did he miss because they were there and they came running real quick and didn't have time?
It's a half cut instead of a full cut.
So yeah, so he also says that did you ever hear of the wizard named Zogar Sag? And he goes, he may have something to do with this as well. So what they do is they start... They put the dead guy, because they got to bring him back to camp. They put him on like a little sled that they make, and they go and they drag him through the woods. And then they start hearing like other screams and stuff coming. So Conan's like, let me go check it out. You stay here. The kid's like, no, I'm coming with you. So he's like, okay. So he follows him. They leave the dead body behind. They go searching for what's going on. They can't really find anything. But then they see off in the distance, they see this giant, like kind of like serpent creature, like slinking away. So Conan goes and throws his axe. He misses him, and the creature disappears. But then they go back to where they were setting up camp, where they left the dead body, and lo and behold,
the body's head's missing.
The body's head is missing. So
Came back for it.
Came back for it. They took the head. So like, crap.
Trophy.
Yep. So now they got to bring back this headless corpse, right? But Conan's like, at least our load's a bit lighter on the trip back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 20-pound head is gone. So they get back to wherever they're looking at Fort Tuscalan, which stands on the eastern bank of the Black River. They get outside. They're like, let us in. I am Conan. I've returned. So you go inside. They show the corpse without the head. They talk to the head guy there, whatever. So here's this part. There's a lot of dialogue, and Conan's talking about the serpent and the forest.
Strange goings on.
So they obviously got to find this sorcerer, and they got to find this creature. So the head guy here suggests that they put together a team of 100 to go out, and he's like, I don't need 100. Just give me 12 of your best men. And so basically Conan gets the 12 men and the kid. The kid goes along. They hop in a boat, go down the river. It's great. Splash page there by Mr. Buscema. Right, very, very cool. And so, of course, it's good stuff are not going to happen, right? So we've noticed that most of the crew are all like old, grizzly-looking guys, right? Which the kid is looking at. He goes, oh, they look really experienced, but man, they look kind of old and whatnot. So they go, they pull down. Conan thinks he hears and sees stuff, so they go jump off the boat. They all kind of set up camp and whatnot, but he has a young kid watching the boat. And then, no, not the young kid. The young kid comes, and they have one of the older guys in the crew watching the boat. And then they see another boat, and he goes up, and he finds that the guy is dead. Someone attacks him from behind, right? So now's when all the weird shit starts happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sneak
attack, and then all these dudes come out of the forest. They knock the kid over the head. They capture him, and it's actually a bunch of savage Picts. Okay, Picts. That's the name of these barbarians called the Picts, and Conan always fights them all throughout. So here's the next chapter: the Beast of Zogar Sag, and then he notices. So the kid is captured. He's tied up, and he sees the heads of all the other dudes
right there
in the crew, all in a pile. So he's the only one that looks like they've spared. So him and this other dude from the crew, they've spared. They don't know where Conan is. They're not sure if Conan's head is in the pile as well. So then, of course, the battle rages on, and here we see the wizard guy that they were talking about. So he comes into play here, and the old guy spits in his head. Spits in his face, and then they got like a saber-toothed tiger. I mean, this is why this stuff is so cool, because you got all these like creatures and animals and stuff like that. So they got a saber-toothed tiger. The two guys are tied up at the stake there. Saber-toothed tiger jumps to the other surviving old guy from the team, rips him off the where they have him strapped onto, savages him, grabs him in his mouth, and drags him away. So that dude is done.
There's the serpent.
Yeah. So there we got the next page. So, of course, the young guy, Balthus, or whatever the hell his name is, he's the only one remaining. So they've got something in store for him. So they open up another gate, and in comes the giant serpent.
Oh.
So he sees so the one guy got killed by the saber-toothed tiger. Now the giant
serpent's after him.
Yep, giant serpent's after him. So as he does that, someone throws a spear, right? And then this big battle begins, right? So the serpent's now out of control. Everybody starts, he starts attacking. The serpent starts attacking everybody. Everybody's attacking the serpent, so it's complete mayhem. And then, of course, who shows up to free the young kid? Mr. Conan is still alive, of course. So they try to sneak off to the side. They see like this shelf right around the corner where all these heads are sitting on there. So like, oh my God, what's this all about? And then there's some other giant like gorilla creature that's also like imprisoned. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on here. So Conan goes and slays the gorilla creature, and then they attempt to escape. Okay, from this compound.
It's too early for that.
Yeah, they go over the side, of course, and it says to be continued, right? So, of course, the rest of what happens with the serpent creature and everything will happen in the next issue, which I don't have. So then you got some, some editorial stuff, cool here, which we've always talked about when we were kids. We always skipped all the editorial stuff, right? But because there's too much reading.
Yeah, not enough pictures.
Yeah. As we get older, this stuff is fun to do. And here, look at this.
Jaws.
Conan fighting Jaws. Subscribe, otherwise we'll throw you to the sharks.
They don't make them as menacing as Jaws, though.
No, not quite.
Half the size.
Not quite. And then the last story is the Retribution in Blood. So this is basically Don Glutt wrote the script, art David Wenzel and Marilitz, featuring a hero created by Robert E. Howard. So this is the Solomon Kane hero, which was again created by Robert E. Howard. And this whole story is about how he falls upon a group of vampires. And, of course, the head vampire happens to be Dracula. Oh. So this is basically, so this is kind of interesting because this is Solomon Kane going up against Dracula. It's taken back, so this just goes to show you how long Dracula's been around. And this is back in the day when Dracula first became a vampire, right? So here he finds these women who turn into vampires by Dracula. He has all these different meetings with Dracula, these little altercations and whatnot, altercations with the female vampires and the other female that he knows who's being chased by Dracula. And then, they get the confrontation between the two of them, which is kind of neat. And they know each other quite well. So obviously they have had, Solomon Kane and Vlad the Impaler, who was Dracula, had dealings with each other before he became a vampire. Exactly. So here we got the battle between the two, and the female vampires involved as well. Okay, good artwork here. Really cool stuff. Again, this is all way before Tomb of Dracula stuff. All right, so here he's actually fighting Dracula. Here at the end. What year is this? This is 1977. Yeah.
So Tomb of Dracula is going on.
Yeah. But the story itself is taking place way before. Yeah. So here he's trying to put one over, so he throws a flaming corpse up by Dracula, and then while he does that, he takes a cross, lights it on fire, and stabs him in the heart. Okay, so he puts out Dracula. So he thinks.
With a flaming stake.
So he thinks, but then of course the cross that he stabbed him with had all sorts of jewels on it. So then a bunch of vagrants who are out looking for things that they can steal, a bunch of gypsies, they see this corpse laying in the ground in a shallow grave with a cross as a stake stuck through the heart with all these jewels on. They're like, oh, look at that. We can take that and we'll be rich, right? So, of course, what does that mean?
He comes back to life.
So, of course, they take that out of his chest and Dracula will come to life. So that's how the story ends, basically. So the gypsies take
idiots.
You idiots, right? But it's Solomon Kane's fault for not covering up the corpse, right? Well, so that's that. Then you have
Clint Eastwood would say worms and vultures got to eat too.
That's right. So here's an ad for the Rampaging Hulk, which I had no idea they had a brand new Man-Thing story in that as well, which is kind of cool. And I think that was the first Man-Thing story after they stopped the first run of Man-Thing before Volume 2 started up, which I think was 1978, if I remember correctly. Okay. So this was the first new Man-Thing story after the original run of Man-Thing stopped. So I got to get that because I don't have that.
What issue number is that? They don't tell you.
That is number 7. So it's Rampaging Hulk number 7. So it looks like the Hulk is going up against the Orb, which is that one who fought which is the villain that went up against Ghost Rider.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like to me. It doesn't really say that. It says Knight of the Soul Stealer. It doesn't really say, but still, it looks just like him. It's like a giant eye, right? But then you got the full Man-Thing story in there as well. So I got to get that one. So, and then you get the conclusion of Beyond the Black River for Conan, right? Children of Jebel Sag, and I think that's it for this, right? Yeah, and then you got the
More ads.
More ads for more black and white magazines from Marvel. And again, we can see. Yeah, that looks like the Orb to me. And that's the issue before Crazy, Haunt of Horror, and then just some of this. You got the letters page, and on the back, we can teach your 10 fingers to make beautiful music. Of course you can, right? 99 cents.
Advertisements.
99 cents. So there you have it, everybody. Issue number 26 of the Savage Sword of Conan the Barbarian from 1977. A very cool one. Like I said, there's a lot going on here. If you like all sorts of like monsters and action and blood and gore and sword fighting and scantily clad women, you've come to the right place. And plus you got Solomon Kane and Dracula as well and vampires.
To boot.
Yeah. And you know what this was? $3.
Not bad for today's world.
No, and it's in great condition, right? So
I'm telling anybody,
these Savage Sword
prices are going up every day. It's ridiculous.
Not on this. So
You got a deal. Good deal.
there you have it, everybody. Go through your spiel.
Okay, guys, we'd like you to click the like button. Please share this video with your friends if they don't know about comic book users. And as always, click the notification bell to be kept in the loop. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thanks for being here. Thank you for your comments. And as always, thanks for watching Comic Book Users. We'll be back with more stuff. If you like comics, this is the place to be. I'm Wild Bill, and for Pete Pardo, come on back. We'll see you next time on Comic Book Users. Take care.
See you soon, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.